The Insight. Connecting all voices.
Voice of Indonesia from Indonesia to the world. Welcome to the webinar, The Insight, specially presented by Voice of Indonesia, the overseas service of Radio Republik Indonesia. On the occasion of Indonesia's National Radio Day on September 11, which is commemorated as the 80th anniversary of Radio Republik Indonesia as well, we present to you this webinar carrying the theme, The Future of Radio. In an ever-changing media landscape, radio shows its resilience, its ability to adapt. Even a 2022 UNESCO report states that over 44,000 radio stations are operational worldwide, offering programming in thousands of languages. And here in this webinar with me, Rahma, we'll be talking about the current development, challenges, strategies, and more for the future of radio with today's sources, Mr. Asep Setiawan, former BBC Indonesia sections announcer, and also Dr. Lintang Ratri Rahmiaji, MSI, academician of Diponegoro University, or UNDIP, in Semarang, Central Java. But before we start the discussion, let's listen to a keynote speech by Director of Radio at the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union, or ABU, namely Andrew Davies.
Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Davies. I am the Head of Radio at the ABU, the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union. Congratulations to all our friends at RRE on your 80th birthday. It's an amazing achievement, and there are many, many, many more years to come. So congratulations to everybody at RRE on your 80th birthday. I am very honoured to be talking with you as part of this webinar about the future of radio, because it's a very exciting topic. I am the head of radio at the ABU, and before I joined the ABU at the start of this year, I used to work for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, so that is the ABC or RRE equivalent in Australia, and I was a manager of radio and podcasts and digital. So I have spent my career involved with radio and audio, and it's such an exciting, vibrant medium. So I'm very honoured to be talking about that topic, because I think it's such an important topic for all of us working in radio and audio to be thinking about. And you will notice that I have referred to audio. I will come back to that in a second. But with radio itself, radio is not dying. There are so many people around the world who have talked about radio as being a dying medium in some ways, and that is certainly not the case. But there is a lot of detail around the changes to radio, which is something I'm keen to talk with you all about as part of this webinar today. And radio is so resilient. It's an incredibly resilient medium, and it's been around for so long. It's adaptable, it changes, it's relatively cheap to produce, and the technical cost of radio is very cheap. So it is all those things have that radio as its strength when it comes to what radio is and what radio will continue to be in the future. But having said that, one of the things that we are seeing with radio, particularly in Europe and North America, but also increasingly in Asia as well, is that we are seeing a trend where older audiences are listening more to the radio or radio services, and younger audiences are listening more to podcasts or to audio books or engaging with social media. So one of the changes with radio is that change, is the audience change or audience behaviour changes. And I think the strengths of radio are its immediacy, that ability to cover news and to take listeners to a particular situation, that emotional connection that people have. If you listen to the radio, people form a connection with presenters, and that's very important. And also interactivity is such a strength of radio, the ability for listeners to phone in and to call, and for presenters to read out messages from listeners that they have just received. And also emergency broadcasting is so important, I know in Indonesia, but also in many Asian countries as well. So radio continues to play that role, and will do in the future. But I think it's important for all of us in radio that we understand these shifts where older audiences, as I say, are listening to the radio, and younger audiences increasingly listening to podcasts and to audiobooks and to social media, because that means a bit of a change in the way we think about the programs we are making and also the audiences we are reaching. And that leads me to the next thing I was really keen to talk about as part of this webinar is there are what's called audience need states or roles that certain media play for audiences. And what I mean by that is that in the case of radio, there are some common themes that come up with many surveys about why people choose to listen to the radio. So this is not about choosing particular programs, but this is about just why people listen to the radio, why people listen to podcasts, why people listen to audiobooks, those sorts of things. And we call that form of research audience need state. So what need is the radio doing for audiences or podcasts or audiobooks at a sort of high level? And when it comes to the research for radio, the main reasons people listen to radio are to keep engaged, for radio to keep them company, also to have radio on in the background, whatever they might be doing in their work or their shop or their home. So radio plays an important role for those needs. It keeps people company. It helps people stay up to date is another one. And those are all important in understanding what radio does and the role radio performs for listeners. And that is very similar. Those needs are very similar for most of the surveys I have seen around the world. When it comes to podcasting, there are some slight differences in the reason that people listen to podcasts or choose to listen to podcasts. So that, again, is this idea of audience need. And in podcasts, it's similar for engagement and to keep people company. But the biggest reason people listen to podcasts is for enjoyment or entertainment. So that is one of the differences between people choosing to listen to podcasts overall and people choosing to listen to the radio. And I think there can be some crossover between programs. So if you were making a program that is not a news program, but a program that is more a magazine style program, then you can try and do both. You can try and make that enjoyable and entertaining, as well as helping people stay up to date. And the final thing I wanted to talk about with radio is that, particularly in Indonesia, but I know in many parts of the Asia Pacific region, one of radio's most important roles, and I think will continue to be in the future, is to help serve audiences when it comes to emergency broadcasting. So if there is a tsunami alert or if there is some other kind of natural disaster, that radio plays such a crucial role in reaching audiences, communicating with audiences and letting them know what is going on in their area, giving them advance notice. And it really does help save lives, particularly in the Pacific. We have seen that a lot in places like Vanuatu and Fiji and Papua New Guinea, where radio and that early warning system of letting audiences know and listeners know about something that is happening or could happen and giving them advice and accurate, trusted information they can rely on to help them, survive what might be coming is so important. And I think that is such a vital aspect of radio and will continue to be in the future. So I'm going to finish my talk by really summarising the themes I've talked about, and I hope this has been useful for all of you. But I think the key things are that radio remains strong and will continue to be, but it is changing in terms of audiences. So older audiences are listening more to the radio, and younger audiences are listening more to podcasts, to audiobooks, and engaging with social media. And we have gone, as I say, from one system, which is radio, to an ecosystem, which is more complicated in some ways, but also more exciting with podcasting and audiobooks and other forms of audio. So I think the challenge for radio and radio broadcasters, radio companies, if that's public service like RRE or commercial, is to remain engaged and to really keep innovating when it comes to both what you're doing technically, but also when it comes to the radio programs and the content you are producing. And it really comes back to what I was talking also about at the beginning of this talk, about understanding the different reasons people listen to the radio and people listen to podcasts and people listen to audiobooks. And understanding that is very important because it helps you think about how you can best create your content that works for the radio and for podcasts. But the other thing I would say is when it comes to podcasts, one of the benefits of learning about podcasting is it can also help improve radio services. So even if your company or organization doesn't have as much resource to think about creating podcasts, because it does take more work in many cases, then thinking about the best practice approaches to podcasting can still help you improve your radio services. So understanding a better approach to the scripting you use, or the style and the tone of the presenter or presentation, can also help with your existing radio services. So I think radio remains strong. I am the head of radio at the ABU. I love radio. I'm passionate about radio and audio. And I'm very, very honoured to be asked to speak to you today as part of this special webinar looking at the future of radio. I hope some of what I've said has been of use and interest. And I'm very happy to keep engaging with our friends at RRE. And I look forward to other opportunities to talk to you all again in future. But thank you very much for inviting me to join this webinar today. And as I say, I'm very honoured to be talking to you. Thank you.
Well, listener, when it comes to the future of radio, we also have asked some people about it. So what they say about the future of radio, let's take a look at this video.
What do you think about radio?
For me, radio is about radio for get information, listening to some music, traffic, news, and everything about the knowledge.
To radio a lot, to be honest. I think this is the matter is because some of the songs are not fitted into my playlist, and yeah, but I think radio is a place for you listen to music and you get information from it, and yeah, it's a media.
Okay, I hope for this radio industry will make a creative segment. I think Gen Z really love about the celebrity news or some kind of the edgy things right now, like food, plays. Yeah, you can make a news from that term. Yeah.
Radio can innovate from the latest trends, and of course, I think radio. The reason why radio is now not really not many people are listening to it right now. I think some of it is because they're not curated enough for the listeners. So I think for radio to have a more creative segment, like a podcast, or they invite celebrities or creators to speak at the radio. Yeah, the interviews, I think also can help them to grow even more than now.
Dear listeners and viewers, and also participants of this special webinar on the National Radio Day, without further ado, now let's have a look at the presentation of the former announcer of BBC World Services Indonesia section, Mr. Asep Setiawan. Mr. Asep, you may begin your presentation, please.
Thank you very much for having me here in quite significant event upcoming for anniversary of National Radio here. Please allow me to explain briefly with the introduction and then current state of the radio broadcasting and challenges, and the end with the future of radio broadcasting, including in Indonesia. As we know that radio broadcasting now stand at critical crossroad caught between tradition and digital innovation. And having survived more than a century of change, it continues to prove its resilience. The challenge ahead is finding ways to adapt to new technology while maintaining its unique identity. So the current state is radio, despite declining, but still reaches more people weekly than television. The listener now combine EM and FM radio with podcasts and streaming services, creating a hybrid listening culture. And this fragmentation demonstrates both competition and vitality of radio landscape. Let me now explain of the key challenges of the radio broadcasting. The greatest challenges to radio come from streaming services and podcasts that dominate younger audiences. As we know, while other listeners remain loyal, as some of the other listeners remain loyal to listen the radio even in traditional manners. Younger generation, I think, prefer on-demand formats. In addition, I think accurate audiences measurement and strict regulation continue to complicate and radio competitiveness because to measure the audience now has more complicated before because multi-platform. And I want to discuss now about the directly to the future of the broadcasting, how the future of trends. I believe the future of radio broadcasting will be driven by internet protocol and 5G technology that enable faster and more flexible distribution. In addition, I believe artificial intelligence promises, as we currently use widely, personalized and automation, the transforming how the content is delivered. At the same time, advanced data analytics will revolutionize audience targeting and advertising strategy. And about programming in the future radio broadcasting. Programming, I believe, will evolve to include interactivity, visuals, as we can see now, even RRE online, and cross-platform experiences. Radio station, I believe, increasingly extend popular show into podcast formats in the future, and now is already done initially, particularly in Western countries, more popular, meeting on demand for on-demand content. As you know that the audience now not waiting, not listening in traditional way. They are waiting for on-demand content to some extent. And the future will be very, very much depend on it. Social media integration in the future add further opportunity to strengthen engagement with diverse audience. And I believe in the future also, the radio industry is moving toward energy efficient and environmentally friendly technologies should be supported by many, many countries now. And broadcaster in this decade must embrace multi-platform strategies that allow content to reach audiences everywhere. So I believe in the future, the partnership with technology companies, particularly and car manufacturers, are also essential to secure a radio place in connected ecosystem. So this is very important in the future that the radio industry make a collaboration with this technology producer. And regarding the future of broadcasting of Indonesia, I want to touch some quite very important that if you look at now, Indonesia remains of the largest radio market in Southeast Asia, with around 250 million daily listeners, according to Nielsen, 2023. Radio continues to serve as an accessible medium in both urban and rural services, especially given uneven internet penetration. However, I think I have to highlight here, competition from digital streaming and mobile platform is rapidly reshaping audience behavior and pushing broadcasters to embrace what so-called hybrid models that combine terrestrial, digital, of course here, with online streaming and social integration. And I would like to conclude here with in this short presentation that the future broadcasting in Indonesia, particularly regarding the national radio in Indonesia, is increasingly, I think, in experimenting in digital podcasts and live streaming through application. As we can see here, more and more company in Indonesia, including RRI, has been on digital platform. MNC, for example, El Shinta, RRI Online, and many, many radios online there. And I just want to highlight here that younger listener especially those 16 to 34, are shifting forward on the format on demand, as I said before, forcing broadcaster to adapt content and, of course, on private company advertising models. So wherever program in the future, the radio broadcasting should have on-demand format for make it convenient for listener, particularly younger listener. And the end of this is the strategic partnership for radio broadcasting with telecommunication provider and automotive sector, because car is still available around the world, even given electric vehicles, that radio still very important for the driver, for the mobile, for the car, and will be crucial for ensuring survival radio broadcasting, including in Indonesia digital project. And of course, in this context, I believe as a national radio, Radio Republik Indonesia is also very important to adapt the new environment here, including new digital technology. And I want to the end of the importance of national radio is to unify of Indonesia, nation of Indonesia, because Indonesia had with a large audience across the islands. So this is my introduction for webinar, that the technology will driven, even though we will have a lot of content, whether for youngers, whether for news, inform news, but all of the formats should be hybrid to adapt to the technology and more interactivity with the audience and to reach all audience. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation, Mr. Asep Setiawan. Though it's caught between tradition and digital innovation, radio is still and will always be in its way to maintain and even strengthen its existence with so many choices how to listen to the radio right now. We can listen to it not only now in the car, but anywhere. And now let's move on to our next speaker, Dr. Lintang Ratri Rahmiaji, MSI, the academician of Diponegoro University, or UNDIP, in Semarang, Central Java, who will be sharing insights on the future of radio. Ms. Lintang, you may begin your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon from Semarang to distinguished participants, respected colleagues, and our esteemed guests. It is a true honor and privilege for me to be invited as a speaker in this RRI webinar. And let me say happy anniversary for RRI.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So yes, I'm Lintang. I'm lecturer at Department of Communication, Diponegoro University. Well, much of my work has focused on how traditional media, especially radio, navigates to the challenges and possibilities in the digital era. And in this session, I hope to offer some reflection on how radio, included RRI, while often considered a legacy medium, continues to adapt, to innovate, and maintain its importance in the digital era. So, first of all, let me have a strong statement that I do believe that radio may be old, but it's never been obsolete. It just keeps evolving. Why? In digital age, we know that traditional radio has shifted from analog to digital, and we know about the rise of internet, radio, podcast, and streaming. But although in the digital era, even today, there is still billions of people around the world listening to radio through traditional and digital means. And radio is becoming easier to access on mobile phones and smart device, which is helping more people listen to it again. So I think that's not be obsolete, but it keeps evolving. So, uh, but there's, of course, I agree with Mr. Asep, several key challenges. I tend to say it challenges than problems. Yeah. So there are key challenges. There are competition, of course, with music streaming such as Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And of course, there are audience fragmentation. And yes, declining youth listenership, but not only that, there are ad revenue shifting to digital platform. And the most challenges is for the misinformation and credibility battles, because in the digital era, as we know, everyone can make an some information, some content, everyone becoming an expertise in every single topic. So I think that in this digital era, there is several key challenges. And how about the adaptation for the radio? What is the innovation in radio? I've seen there is visual radio right now. So I've seen a lot of content from the radio itself, integrating video with audio content. And then there are AI and automation for writing scripts, music scheduling. So there are podcasting, whether Mr. Asep said before, it's a problems, it's competition, but I think there is innovation can be used on the radio, that podcasting. We can use on demand or niche content explosion. And there is personalization, of course. We can use this big data. We can analyze the big data. We can use this new personalization to know our audience better. And the innovation in radio also has multi-platform distribution. We have mobile apps, smart device, we have YouTube, social media. So I think we can use all of this to elevate the performance of the radio itself. In RRE, for the case study, I've seen RRE adopt digital platform, right? We have
Yes.
RRE Play Go, we have AI newsroom, and it still reach remote, like we said in Indonesia, like 3T, terluar, terdepan gitu ya. Ada 3T areas with national cohesion role. And then we have, of course, challenges. If we talk about RRE, it's about bureaucracy and youth appeal. But I want to highlight the role of public radio. I mean, if we talk about RRE itself, it's not just for news, but it's important for the culture, for the education. And of course, at some point, we have an urgency for disaster response. And it's ensure media access for marginalized communities, because in in commercial radio, maybe the voice of marginalized communities cannot be heard, and it provides counterbalance to market-driven content. And of course, the role of public radio is strengthen democracy through verified and inclusive content. Refers to Habermas' public sphere theory. Public radio foster dialogue, participation, and share identity. I think that's a very important for RRE to remember the role of the public radio. And yes, how about the future of radio? In my opinion, radio in the future will become more personalized, portable, and participatory. and what needs to be changed, how to adapt to the digital era, to the new listener. I agree in this case with Mr. Asep. We have to invest in youth-centric content for the next generation. We have to invest in youth-centric content. And the second one, we can develop hybrid content models such as live plus on demand. And we can strengthen the digital journalism and fact checking because it's very helpful to select the overload information in the digital era. We can collaborate with tech platform, not to compete. So I think what the mindset has to be shifted. We are not competing in this digital era. We have to collaborate. I've said it before. When the budget is cut off from the government for the RRI, it is the time to think about collaborate with the content creator, with another institution, with the NGO, maybe with the community itself. I think it's not only will help about the content which is needed by our listener, but it's also elevate, it's also increase the engagement itself, because when we collaborate, we can use the promotion from them to promote the program itself, to promote the content itself. So it's a very beneficial for the media itself. And then maybe we need to change. We need to redefine the KPIs beyond ratings. So rating is so yesterday right now in the digital era. We have to maybe more prioritize about the engagement and trust, and of course the impact. So let me finish my speech today. Is I believe radio didn't die, it evolved, and in evolution those who adapt will thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lintang. Ratri Rahmiaji from Diponegoro University in Semarang, Central Java. Yes, technology evolves indeed, and so does radio. Now, another task is how to reach youngsters as the new listeners, but also maintain loyalty of the old listeners. That also matters. So, VOA listeners and viewers, will be back shortly to have more discussion on the future of radio and also Q&A session between the participants and today's sources. So, stay with us on The Insight, the future of radio.
On the behalf of Indonesian Diaspora Network Global, we would like to extend our thank you to Radio of the Republic of Indonesia for the commitment over 80 years in unifying the voice of Indonesian and inspiring all of us to be faithful to Indonesia. Happy 80th anniversary. We wish you to always be ready to cope with the challenges in digital era. And we, Indonesian Diaspora Network Global, we commit to work together with all of you with RRI for a prosperous and advanced Indonesia. Thank you.
You're still on The Insight, connecting all voices.
Thank you for still joining us. The Insight, the special webinar presented by Voice of Indonesia. Today, we carry the theme, The Future of Radio, in conjunction with Indonesia's National Radio Day, falling on September 11. And now it's time for Q&A session. We kindly invite the participants to raise hands to ask questions to today's sources, Mr. Asep Setiawan, former BBC Indonesia sections announcer, and Dr. Lintang Ratri Rahmiyaji, academician of Diponegoro University in Semarang, Central Java. We have the opportunity for you at the maximum 3 questions for the sources. So anybody has raised hands here? Yes, we have there. We have one, and he is Mr. Amir Jamil. Hello, Mr. Amir Jamil. Good afternoon from Jakarta, Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And I am from Pakistan. Both guests have presented excellent analysis regarding the future of radio. And I would like to ask each of them a question. What role will podcasts and internet radio play in the future compared to traditional radio? And my other question is, do you think artificial intelligence and personalized content will become a big part of radio's future? These are my 2 questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Amir Jamil, VOA listener from Pakistan, for your questions to each speaker, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Asep Setiawan, probably, can you answer the questions from Amir Jamil from Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Amir Jamil, for quite challenging question about how the AI personalize the content in radio. And as we know that in the news production or in radio production, on broadcasting production, there is 3 elements quite very important. First is the what so-called we call is the news production. It is the process of the content to produce, and then distributing production, and also for the private company is about business production. So how they promote the radio. And I would like to emphasize about the production first, newsroom production. I believe in the future that the technology and application of artificial intelligence is very challenging and very influenced how to produce the audio or radio broadcasting, even for entertainment, for news and for any production. My experience with some sort of the application of AI in broadcasting industry and in online industry in East Java is funded by Denmark, as there is evolving how the journalist, how the anchor, how the producer to produce the content, because the AI treat as an assistant. So in terms the content could be accelerate more production about the content. I mean, for example, the content of the statistic, content of about the graphic, so about the history. So the application AI is very much helpful. Yeah, but to some extent, in the worlds of broadcasting, particularly if we follow what so-called is ethical radio broadcasting, ethical journalism, that there are some limitation, and now also disclaimer, of using AI in production. So the audience have to know whether this is the origin of broadcasting production or helping by AI. So AI is unavoidable in our life, unavoidable in broadcasting industry, and unavoidable in television even. But consideration of the ethical journalism, ethical broadcasting, so the industry, including radio, have to disclaim whether this is a pure AI production, or whether this is mixing production, and whether this is assistant. But in general, I believe in the future, the existence of artificial intelligence will accelerate the production to some extent, and maybe can also to adapt with the younger listener, younger audience. For example, if the radio, particularly local radio, most of the listener potential audience is the younger, so they have to adapt with the consumption of the audience. That is my explanation, Pak Amin Jamil. Hopefully, will be discuss it later.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Asep. Now, moving on to Dr. Lintang Ratri. Do you have another perspective on the AI optimization in the future of radio?
Okay, so Mr. Amir, thank you for the question. Well, actually, I will add Mr. Asep, of course. In traditional radio, the production process is centralized and follows a strict broadcast schedule. But programs are created by a dedicated team, of course. There is limited room for editing once content goes on air. In contrast, in digital radio, production is far more flexible and dynamic. Content can be pre-recorded, edited, and published on demand across multiple platforms. This allows for greater collaboration, creativity, and audience engagement. Related to artificial intelligence is, of course, is reshaping digital radio in powerful ways. AI can now automate content curation, personalize playlists, and even generate voice content, use synthetic speech. Well, maybe for producer in the future, AI helps with editing, transcription, and real-time analytic, making production faster and more efficient. But as AI becomes more integrated into digital radio, I think there are several key challenges we must anticipate. First, is it the issue of content accuracy? I mean, when we use AI, we still need to guide the question. We still need to cross-check the answer. Because sometimes AI can be so opinionated. I mean, not based on the real data. Second, the ethical and legal concerns are rising, of course, especially when AI is used to replicate human voices or create synthetic content. Finally, we must ensure that AI serves the public interest, not just platform algorithm or commercial goals. In short, responsible use of AI means balancing innovation with ethic, law, and human values. I mean, even though we know that we cannot hide from the technology development, but still needs our guidance as a human being to raising issue about the ethic itself and the value of humanism. That's for me, for Mr. Amir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lintang, for your answer. And due to limited time, we just want to open one more opportunity for you all, the participant, to ask questions to today's sources. Please raise your hand. Anyone to ask? Okay. Do we have one? Yes, we have one participant who already has raised hands. Bapak Mr. Salut Muhyiddin, please. Please mention your name and also your questions, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Rima. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Thank you also, Pak Asep and Mbak Lintang, for the insight. So I noticed that both of you talking about collaborations with the audience as well as the idea of involving more about the young generation one. I was wondering what is the more specific uh, advice, because I know that television in the past is also very popular, but then it's shifting to more YouTube. So it's more like individual collaboration and co-creation. So I was wondering if involving the young one, even since the primary school, maybe high school, about competition of the radio can also be trigger them to be more involved in the radio. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Pak Salud Muhyiddin, for the questions. Now let's hear the answer from Mr. Asep, please.
Thank you very much, Pak Salut Muhyiddin. As mentioned before, that the producer, the anchor, particularly radio broadcasting, should embrace what's so-called a hybrid mode of broadcasting. So, as you mentioned, that the social media and platform dominate now in our life, and then radio, particularly Indonesian National Radio, should also adapt this new ecosystem. We call it new ecosystem because it's very much depend on digital world, digital platform. As we know that the platform, particularly dominant by the orange platform, so Indonesia itself have to adjust this kind of the new technology. So, of course, the television has the audience also and YouTube also, but I believe the radio industry should adapt to hybrid production to some extent, and also the radio still an advance using while the reader listen doing any other thing. That's the first thing. The second thing, radio is smart. My experience also when I was in BBC World Service in London, the radio have an advance more intimate with the audience. So this is the advance of the radio broadcasting should be utilized, should be enhanced in new ecosystem. So I believe the radio should be in the future still evolving, as Lintang said, that should adapt and enhance artificial intelligence, not only in production, I think, also to identify the audience through the distribution through social media, because social media, including YouTube, is more important element to distribute, not to changing, but to distribute how the news, how the entertain, how the art deliver to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asep Setiawan. Maybe Ms. Lintang would like to have comments on it as well.
Yes, thank you for the question, and Mr. Asep will have a very great answer. But I think the mindset itself has to be shifted. I mean, when we want to reach the young generation, of course, we need to think with their mind and their, the newest way to get the information. So as we know right now, the young generation access the information from the internet and the social media. So I think we need to entering this new platform also for the clickbait. I mean, the clickbait is from the social media, and then it will link to the traditional media era itself. So that's the first that maybe the first specific way to reach out the young generation. The second is I've told before that the new radio, the future of radio is becoming more participatory. So it's different from the traditional media. So the traditional media, it's one-way communication. So the new media is more interactive, more personalized. So we can make it like well, I've said it before, of course. We can use the 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 young generation itself to make a program, to make their own program. So I think in the print media, it's started with the citizen journalism, right? So I think we can do that in the radio. So it comes from them. The platform, the content is from the youth, from the young generation, because old generation like us, like maybe like me and Mr. Asep, it's baby boomers. We don't understand what they talk about. The language itself is so different. I mean, that's why we need to collaborate. So I've said, of course, in this case, it's RRI itself. So I always say it. Don't think by yourself. If you want to reach the youngest, you have to talk with them. You ask them what they want to hear from the radio, what they want to see from the radio itself. So the specific program, I need to collaborate. We can use like a youth focused talk show, maybe, or maybe some shared stories. Well, I think the character recession from the human is not different. I mean, when I'm younger before, like 20 years ago, I still want to what in Indonesia we call send greetings, like that, send music like that. Well,
Yes.
actually, I've noticed it in high school. There are the same pattern. They still search for sending the music, sending the song, sending the message from from the someone to someone else. That's maybe it's not very different. It's just had to be evolving platform, evolving the content itself. So maybe you can collaborate again. You can collaborate with the young people to make a program itself. So not by thinking to think with ourselves as a baby boomers or millennial itself, but you have to talk with them. I think that's my adding comment. Thank you.
Yes, so one interesting thing about radio, which is participatory, is now listeners can see the face of the announcers. Unlike in the past, right? And talking about the radio, now I like also to highlight that previously Mr. Asep says about the resilience of radio. And yes, indeed, radio has proved its resilient. For example, in crisis and natural disasters, just like here in Indonesia when a 7.5 magnitude earthquake which hit the city of Palu, Central Sulawesi province in 2018. The local station of RRI Palu played a key role in helping the quake victims to find their missing families and to inform about logistics that people needed. So now we have come to the closing statement. So for our listeners, our participants whose questions have not been answered, you can send us the questions to our social media or later in the comment section on YouTube channel once it's uploaded. From Mr. Asep Setiawan, please, you can begin the special closing statement on this National Radio Day, please.
Thank you very much. The future of the radio broadcasting, including of national radio in Indonesia, is very much depend on the how to adapt new technology, how to be relevant to the peoples, to the audience. As mentioned, that national radio is very much depend on the network and have a great network. So this is a benefit for national radio. Hopefully in the future will enhance with technology, with enhance the new production, and enhance with the connectivity. And as mentioned, the future interactivity is very much important for national radio in Indonesia, particularly and radio broadcasting in Indonesia and around the world. So happy anniversary of RRI. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asep. And Ms. Lintang, what is your hope on this National Radio Day, on the future of radio?
Okay, as we look ahead, radio continues to evolve, not just surviving, but thriving in digital world by embracing new technologies, fostering creativity, and staying deeply connected with audience. Radio remains a powerful medium for storytelling, community, and culture. The future of radio is not just about sound waves, but about create meaningful experiences that resonate across generation and platforms. Let's continue to innovate and keep the spirit of radio alive for years to come. Happy anniversary, RRI. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lintang. And I also would like to describe the future of radio as well through each letter of the word radio. Why don't we start from the letter R? Radio has bright future and will always do. A, apparently radio will have a bright future. And D represents don't worry, radio is irreplaceable. I believe that radio still have a special heart in its lovers. Oh, radio will be everlasting. Thank you so much. Hopefully, all of you agree with me, Mr. Asep, Ms. Lintang, and all of the listeners. And also Mr. Salud Muhyiddin from the Indonesian Diaspora Network, or IDN Global. Thank you so much for joining us as well. So, our listeners, viewers, and all of the participants, thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar, The Insight, the Future of Radio. Happy Indonesia's National Radio Day, and I'll see you in the next interesting webinar, specially presented by Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.
You have joined The Insight, connecting all voices.